I see you. Damn you. God damn all of you. I hate looking at it. It makes me feel so alive.
Gilbert Wu is the future of the Westward faction. Genetically engineered to surpass his predecessor in combat and inheriting his memories, Gilbert was created to serve Edward Wu by eliminating political dissidents who could challenge him. But Gilbert is not Edward. Edward participated in the tradition of Hui Xin and inherited the memories of their progenitor, Wu Hei. Although Gilbert is the product of the same ancient technique, he does not represent the past because he does not have the memories of a 5,000-year-old mythological creature. Gilbert represents the future because he possesses the memories of Edward, someone who represented the future himself. When Edward fought the Kure and Wu clan alliance, he derided them as antiques, fossils, and troglodytes who failed to accept the new world order of the 21st century. Furthermore, Edward backed it up by toying with them, establishing a new standard of what Ario considered the archetypical combatant. Following the death of Edward, Gilbert eliminated the last of Wu Hei's vessels in Howard Wu to gain control over the Westward faction. Howard was described as a moderate, someone who doesn't make radical decisions and maintains the status quo. When Edward was in charge of the Westward faction, Howard stood behind him to attract as little attention as possible and patiently waited for his political rivals to kick the bucket before he took charge as Wu Hei's last and final vessel. By eliminating Howard, Gilbert served as a revolutionary who overcame the stagnation of the old guard to guide his people into the future. The future of the Westward faction is the elimination of the old ways rather than the introduction of something new. Edward and Gilbert share the same objective of erasing the Kure and Wu clans because they view them as eyesores, fakes who tarnish their legacy by being weak. But Gilbert is a more extreme version of Edward. Under Gilbert's leadership, the Kure and Wu alliance said Westward faction became an even more dangerous group than they were under Edward. Gilbert is more capable of pursuing these ends than Edward because he did not inherit Wu Hei's memories and has less of a connection to the past. So Gilbert is able to achieve more because he's less connected to the old ways and is more able to impose his wrath upon the Kure and Wu clans who serve to represent the past. Genocide is a very serious topic which is usually talked about with more care, but Kengan is not a story which dwells on it in a sensitive way. After all, it cannot be classified as a genocide because the Kure and Wu clans are not helpless victims in the face of the Westward faction. Motivated by vengeance, the Kure and Wu clans fight back. If anything, it is a family feud between criminal organizations. But both Edward and Gilbert are motivated by their perceived superiority over another group of people, something which has motivated past genocides as well as ongoing ones. Unlike Edward, who died after he acknowledged Rayan and gave him credit for defeating him despite his sense of superiority, Gilbert is forced to reckon with his superiority complex and struggles with the weight of expectations. Against Akoya Seishu, Gilbert's sense of superiority backfired on him. Akoya's armor was very resilient, but tearing a page from one of Aesop's fables, Gilbert lit him on fire to force Akoya to remove his armor. Gilbert could have easily eliminated him before going to check on Tokita Nico, but Gilbert left the cleanup to Willem Wu. From Gilbert's perspective, there was nothing wrong with giving the task to Willem. With Superman syndrome and the physical gifts afforded to him through his lineage, Willem was more than capable of defeating Okoye. But as a result of his sense of superiority, Gilbert underestimated Okoye and gave him the opportunity to grab victory from the jaws of defeat. To add insult to injury, Shen Wulong says Edward would not have made such a mistake. Wulong's intent was to reassure Gilbert because he told them mistakes are a privilege of the young and to slowly build up experience by learning from them. But from Gilbert's perspective, such a statement signifies he is not living up to expectations. Gilbert is supposed to be the upgrade, someone who was created to surpass Edward and take care of his unfinished business. By failing where Edward would have succeeded, Gilbert failed to actualize his purpose. Gilbert identifies his failure as a consequence of his mental immaturity, but Gilbert doubles down on it by taking up Wu Hei's epithet, the god of the underworld. Instead of taking Wulong's wisdom to heart and embracing his future, Gilbert uses the past to nurse the cracks in his superiority complex. From here on out, everything goes downhill for Gilbert. After licking his wounds from his crushing defeat at the hands of Gilbert, Rayan returned stronger than ever and eliminated Willem. Following the death of Gilbert's closest aide, Gilbert would begin to lose control over the westward faction. The Middle Eastern and African clans would withdraw their support for Gilbert and pull out of the war against the Kure and Wu clan alliance because of Gilbert's incompetence. Rayan has eliminated many members of the westward faction, but when Gilbert had the chance to eliminate him at his weakest, he allowed Rayan to recover and evolve into an even bigger threat than before. Such an oversight led to Willem's death, something which occurred right underneath Gilbert's nose. To add insult to further injury, the Middle Eastern and African clans respected Edward. Although they view Hushin as taboo, the Middle Eastern and African clans reluctantly followed Edward because he was powerful, charismatic, and had what it takes to be a leader. Compared to Edward, they view Gilbert as a brat who is not fit to lead. On his ascent to power, Gilbert purged cliques who opposed him, something which came back to haunt him when they would be outnumbered against the Kure and Wu alliance. The Middle Eastern and African clans have no reason to follow Gilbert and sacrifice their lives for him. If Gilbert wants their loyalty and respect, he needs to demonstrate his power by righting his wrongs and eliminating Rayan. Gilbert's opportunity for redemption would take place in the Ganryu games. On his quest for Rayan, Gilbert would interrupt a standoff between Julius Reinhold and Arashiyama Jiroda. To qualify for the final area, contestants need to be in the top 10 for destroying the most number of devices. By defeating Kim Jang-gi and the Falcon, Gilbert was racking up devices. If Gilbert defeated Julius and Jiroda, he would be closer to qualifying for the final area where he could more easily hunt Rayan in a smaller arena. But Gilbert picked a fight with the wrong person. Julius represents the future. Julius was regarded as the acme of German medicine, who obtained an unparalleled body from a lethal dose of steroids and possesses the mightiest muscles born of science. Furthermore, Julius was a scholar who learned how to use his specs to their maximum potential. In his match against Wakatsuki Takeshi, Julius represented mankind and how far they had come. Following his defeat at the hands of the Wild Tiger, Julius evolved even further and he became the Martyr of Muscles, an embodiment of pure strength unadulterated by the martial arts. The god-killing rock drill represents the pinnacle of Julius's obsession with strength, an ability which overwhelms technique with sheer power. To his credit, Gilbert recognizes the threat of Julius's god-killing rock drills and diminishes its impact using his ingenuity and brute strength. But after dominating in the clinch and grounding the German tank, Gilbert got overzealous and fell hook, line, and sinker for the same procedure Julius performed against Towa Mudo. To overcome the gap in power, Gilbert unleashes his latent power by activating Guihun. As Edward's clone, Gilbert inherited Edward's Guihun, which is most similar to Wu Hei's Guihun. By activating it, Gilbert represents the past. In the clash between past and future, Gilbert takes the lead by drawing upon the power of his progenitor and unleashing his family's ultimate technique. But against the man of the future, it was not enough. Julius chastises Gilbert, demanding to know why he stopped his onslaught and failed to finish him. Furthermore, Julius declares that Gilbert is too immature because he has been sheltered. Rattled by Julius's resilience, Gilbert wavers in the face of the real world and is defeated. Adding insult to injury, Julius refuses to eliminate him from the competition because Gilbert is no warrior. Gilbert is the future of the Westward faction, but when he makes mistakes, Gilbert fails to learn from them because he retreats into the comfort of the past. Although his sense of superiority has been disproven, Gilbert maintains a superiority complex because he draws upon memories and experiences which do not belong to him. Huishin is quasi-copying, where the subject does not become the original person 100%, but imprints their personality and memories. Wulong says Gilbert is immature because his young body is holding his mind back. Gilbert has higher catalog specs than Edward, so Gilbert expects to be greater than the original. But when Gilbert fails to match him, his younger body holds his mind back because it creates expectations he cannot fulfill. As a result, Gilbert's identity has unraveled. Gilbert matters because he moves the story forward. I know Gilbert is yet another antagonist who challenges the good guys and fails miserably, but those failures have major consequences on other characters. Gilbert's failure against Akoya got him out of his depression and reignited his desire to execute justice. After losing his edge against Lu Tian, Akoya was thinking of entrusting his mission to Gao Ryuki. After failing to defeat Siaji, Akoya improved his equipment to keep up with his failing strength. But after Gilbert forced Akoya to take off his armor by setting him on fire and leaving the cleanup to Willem, he unwittingly gave Akoya the opportunity to walk through the proverbial fire and reawaken the strength needed to execute justice. Now free from the cowardly idea of protecting himself and of foolishly entrusting others to carry out his will, Akoya has returned to power. Gilbert's failure to eliminate Rayan motivated him to respect the wishes of Kureerio and Master Otakimaru. After defeating Edward, Rayan did not follow Ario's unsolicited advice because if Howard is on par with Edward, Rayan will do the same thing to him. But Howard was dethroned by Gilbert. So in the war against the Westward faction, Rayan experienced a crushing defeat because he was not prepared to fight Gilbert. Following his defeat, Rayan would become personally committed to defeating the Westward faction. Since Gilbert failed to eliminate him, he gave Rayan the opportunity to swallow his pride and follow Ario's advice. Becoming stronger than ever before, Rayan challenges Gilbert's supremacy. Gilbert's role in the story is still alive and well. Although Gilbert lost to Julius, his path to Rayan is open because he has not been eliminated from the competition. The prospect of Gilbert versus Rayan does not excite me. If they fought right now, Rayan would defeat Gilbert and it would not be close. What I am more excited for is Gilbert's growth and development into a fighter who could give Rayan the fight of his life. Given the way Sandrovich writes, I cannot trust him to fulfill my demands. But Gilbert's internal struggle and the way it holds him back reminds me of other characters who had similar struggles but grew to overcome them. Tokita Oma's mind-body balance was getting thrown off by advance-induced amnesia, and his desire for vengeance clouded his desire to be the strongest. But Oma overcame his internal struggle by regaining his memories and making the Nico style his own. Rihito's body wouldn't move the way his head wants to because he was letting his mastery of techniques control him. But Rihito overcame his internal struggle by unleashing his innate wild instincts and making the techniques his own. Gilbert was written to experience an internal struggle because he was meant to overcome it. Gilbert's current predicament in the Ganryu games could serve to facilitate his development and growth. To reach Wulong, the fighters are driven to consume the powerful and scale the wall in hopes of reaching his level. Gilbert may get swept up by the ripple created by Wulong's presence. But it is all up to Gilbert, whether he chooses to be a relic of the past or to forge an identity of his own.